Ray Sefo, Executive PFL. Thank you so much for taking the time to chat with me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
We're here in Long Island for PFL 5, back-to-back weeks in Long Island.
Right.
Looking for fireworks the week before. Looking for fireworks this week at the lightweights and light heavyweights. What are you most looking forward to for this fight card?
I think just the fights. I mean, everybody from PFL 1 to PFL 4, I think everybody's showed up and really looking to win, looking to finish. PFL 4, we had 10 fights and 7 or 8 finishes. So to me, that was, I mean, these guys are continually setting the bar for each other. The heavyweights and the featherweights, the lightweights and the light heavyweights come this Thursday, August 2nd. Yep. And then, of course, August 16th, we have the welterweights and the middleweights. So for me, it's just the excitement of the night where I just have no doubt in my mind that these guys are going to come out and fight and look to finish. And also, it's because it's also their last regular season fight it's their last chance to get into the playoffs.
In the main event, there was a change, last-minute change.
Right.
Now it's Natan Schulte versus
Jason High. That's correct.
How does this match come together, and what do you expect out of the two combatants?
I think those two fighters are going to put on a great show. I know definitely that they, Nathan won his last fight, but Jason actually lost his last fight. So Jason's really got to come out and try and finish to try and get into the playoffs. And talking to him for a little bit, that's definitely something that he wants to do. Of course, Nathan's, I think he won by a decision in his last fight, so they got him 3 points. So I'm sure that he's going to want to also win because, 3 points is could get you there, but there's a possibility that the other 8, that there might be 8 guys that could have, 4, well, not 8 guys, but there could be a guy that's probably at the bottom at 4 points. And so if that's the case, then he can't get into the playoffs. So I think he's definitely going to look to try and finish or at least win anyhow.
Mm-hmm. Can you talk a little bit about Jason High in the last minute of it, because he wasn't initially on the card, and how that came together?
Right, yeah, Jason High, obviously he had been training through the whole time, but there were some issues in terms of the commission, whether they were going to approve him to fight. So, and I think last week they approved him to fight, and he fell right into the main event for the night.
And we mentioned Nathan. He had probably one of the more underrated fighters heading into it, fighting a big time fighter in Chris Wade.
Right.
Can you tell? And you've worked with him before in World Series of Fighting.
Right.
You mentioned. Tell me about him and what your expectations coming in of him, and if you think he surpassed them, and what do you expect out of him now?
Yeah, Nathan, when I signed him, he had a very impressive record, and he comes from a kickboxing background, and obviously in his last fight, I mean, his wrestling and his grappling game was impressive. I mean, when I think about it, that could have been the most impressive fight of the night. Was just because he was able to defend the takedown, he was able to, scramble, he was able to also take Chris Wade down. So, the fight was going back and forth. So it was impressive performance by Nathan. So I look for him to, do it again. The only thing is he's got a veteran in Jason High that has something else in mind. So it makes it for a good fight.
What's your most underrated fight on this card that fans might be overlooking?
That's a good question. I don't know. I mean, they just got to tune in and watch the show because every fight is. I mean, the other fight I'm looking forward to as well is Rashid Magomedov, because he didn't fight his first regular season fight due to injuries, and he's facing off with Luis Firmino, and Luis Firmino is a tough customer. You know what I mean? So that's going to be a good fight. Will Brooks and Robert Wadley's going to be an amazing fight. When I called Robert and said that Brooks was going to be his opponent, he's like, great. It just, another good fight is just to challenge them and to push them. You know what I mean? And so, I love it when I call guys and tell them who their opponent is, and they say, "Hey, boss, I got to fight everybody anyway to get to the $1 million. So line them up and I'll knock them over." Right?
And stepping away from PFL 5 for just one moment, today it was announced who Caleb Harrison's opponent was,
Right.
Josette Cotton. Can you talk about how that matchup came together?
Yeah, we had a list of ladies that was that we were contacting, and we hadn't gotten to Josette yet, but she actually saw a tweet that was put out. I'm trying to think if it was Ali or was it Ariel that put out the tweet. It might have been Ariel that we were finding it hard to find an opponent for Kayla, and then she actually replied to that tweet and said that she was up for it if they were keen. So I reached out to her and got her signed and we talked about the contract and whatnot. She was happy, and now Kayla has an opponent. So when I went back to Kayla's camp, they said great, and so obviously Josette has a lot of experience, but Kayla has a lot of experience being in the limelight. She's done it for so many years with judo, and I mean she's a two-time gold medalist, two-time Olympic champion, and so their camp thinks that she's capable of stepping up, and watching how she finished that last fight so fast and so easy against a girl that was 3 and 4. So this one here is 2 fights more than the girl that she fought. So I think it's great that Josette stepped up, and I also want to give her props because she was very professional in the way that she handled everything when I talked to her. So that was really cool. But yeah, I mean that's going to be a good fight.
So if fighters are looking for a contract from you, they can go on Twitter and ask you?
Not necessarily. I mean, hey, listen, I don't want to say that because, otherwise we're going to have everybody go on Twitter and call. But listen, I mean, my thing is as long as they 10 plus pro fights and on a winning record, then we'll talk, But without a doubt, I don't want to put that out there and I have 0 and 1 and 2 and 1 kind of guys. Hey Ray, I want to fight for PFL. You gotta have at least 10 plus pro fights and on a winning record.
Not only that, got that cleared up. Going back to PFL 5, there's an interesting storyline with Rakeem Cleveland's fight. He's fighting a former teammate.
Right.
How do you find that? Do you find that intriguing at all? See how this plays out?
I do actually, because when I match these guys up, first of all, it's kind of obviously these guys didn't realize, but when I matched them up together, I didn't realize they were from the same camp, that they were training together in the same camp until their trainers reached out, and I'm like, guys, they got to fight each other anyway, one way or the other. They're gonna meet each other if they make it to the playoffs or whatever. They're gonna have to face off anyhow. So, so they both agreed. Now, from my understanding, that Maxim ended up training somewhere else, so that they weren't training together. But that's gonna be interesting because they know each other, inside out, so to speak, and they're going to know each other's weaknesses and strengths and whatnot. So I think it makes it for a good fight because then it becomes a chess match.
Ray, last question is, I'm going to give you the last word, so take it away.
Watch the fans, tune in on Facebook, Facebook Watch. You're going to see the first half of the card, and then NBC Sports Network, you'll see the second half of the card. For everybody that's from overseas, you can watch the whole fight, the whole card on Facebook Watch, and enjoy the show because, again, PFL 5 is going to be fireworks.